Focus. How Steve Jobs saved Apple with focus. Welcome back to our deep dive into the minds that shaped our digital world. Today, we're exploring one of the most remarkable corporate turnarounds in history, a story that goes far beyond business strategy and touches the very essence of human consciousness and decision-making. In 1997, Steve Jobs returned to Apple, a company on the brink of bankruptcy. He took the boldest step possible, using the Zen Principle of Decluttering to turn Apple around. The first thing he did was cut 70% of the product line, keeping just 4 core products. He famously said, "Focus is not about doing everything. It's about saying no to the other 99%. But what led to this moment of clarity? Jobs had spent years in the wilderness, so to speak. After being ousted from Apple in 1985, he founded NXT and acquired Pixar, experiences that would prove crucial to his transformation. During this period, he deepened his practice of Zen Buddhism, regularly visiting the Tassajara Zen Mountain Center in California. This wasn't just a casual interest, it was a fundamental rewiring of his approach to life and business. When Jobs came back, Apple had over 40 product lines. There were even printers and game consoles in the mix, but the company was only 90 days away from bankruptcy. So, he called a meeting with the executives and drew 4 quadrants on a whiteboard, announcing, "We will only focus on these 4 products. Consumer desktop, iMac. Professional desktop, Mac Pro. Consumer laptop, MacBook. Professional laptop, PowerBook." Think about it. Those 4 categories have hardly changed today. In fact, they've almost become a kind of industry standard. The audacity of this decision cannot be overstated. Imagine walking into a company with thousands of employees, multiple product teams, and established revenue streams, and essentially saying, "We're going to eliminate most of what we do." The board members were stunned. Some executives quit on the spot. But Jobs understood something that traditional business wisdom often misses. Complexity is the enemy of execution. This wasn't just about products. It was about cognitive load. Every additional product line meant divided attention, scattered resources, and confused messaging. By reducing Apple's focus to 4 clear categories, Jobs was applying a principle that Buddhist monks have understood for centuries. The mind that tries to grasp everything grasps nothing. The result? The following year, Apple made $309 million in profit. This move was like a business version of cutting to the chase. But the financial turnaround was just the beginning. What Jobs had really done was create a framework for sustainable innovation. With only 4 product categories to focus on, Apple could pour all its resources into making each one exceptional. This is where the Zen concept of beginner's mind became crucial, approaching each product as if it were the first of its kind. The philosophy behind the revolution: minimalism isn't the end, it's the path to essence. Dieter Rams. This quote from legendary designer Dieter Rams became a cornerstone of Jobs' philosophy. But what does it mean to find the essence of a product? In Zen terms, it's about stripping away everything that doesn't serve, the fundamental purpose, what Buddhists call right action. This is like the Zen practice of one-pointedness, not being distracted by external noise, so you can clearly see the one right path ahead. At the core of Steve Jobs' philosophy was intuitive design. He believed tech products should follow human nature, not the other way around. Imagine if we were still chatting on Windows' old DOS system, with those incomprehensible codes popping up. Wouldn't we be cheering for Jobs' original Macintosh? Once again, the connection between Zen and design runs deeper than most people realize. In Zen gardens, every element serves a purpose. There's nothing superfluous, nothing added for mere decoration. Jobs applied this same principle to Apple's products. Every button, every curve, every interaction was deliberate and necessary. I've always believed that the breakthrough in human-computer interaction came from him. It's as groundbreaking as what Elon Musk is trying to do with brain-machine interfaces, even though Musk hasn't made a solid breakthrough yet. Consider the revolutionary nature of this shift. Before Jobs, computers were tools for experts. You needed to learn their language, adapt to their logic. Jobs flipped this relationship entirely. He insisted that computers should adapt to human intuition, not the other way around. This wasn't just good design. It was a philosophical statement about the relationship between humans and technology. Jobs didn't do market research. He believed people don't know what they want until you show them. It's the exact opposite of a CEO like Tim Cook, who's all about giving consumers what they think they want. This approach was considered heretical in the business world. MBA programs taught that market research was essential, that consumer focus groups were the path to success. But Jobs understood something that market research often misses. People can only imagine variations of what already exists. True innovation requires leaping beyond the known. When Nokia was still making keyboard phones, Jobs was already intuitively convinced that touchscreen phones were the future. When everyone said, iPad is just a big iPhone, Jobs saw its potential and said, no, this is the canvas for the post-PC era. A team even made a 300-page market report proving that keyboard phones were better. Jobs threw it straight into the shredder, saying, market research? That's for cowards. This wasn't reckless abandon. It was what Zen practitioners call direct knowing. After years of meditation and contemplation, Jobs had developed an almost supernatural ability to sense the direction of human needs and desires. He could feel what people wanted before they knew it themselves. The Zen Master, as CEO, how Zen shaped Jobs' leadership style. Let's dive into how Zen shaped Steve Jobs' leadership style. Jobs didn't like long, drawn-out meetings. Before major meetings, he would meditate for 15 minutes, then walk into the room and say, I feel we should do this. That's Zen's direct pointing to the heart in action. It's like Bruce Lee said, don't watch my finger, see the moon. This meditation practice wasn't just a quirky habit, it was strategic preparation. In those 15 minutes of silence, Jobs would clear his mind of all the noise, all the conflicting advice and data points, and tune into what he called his inner compass. Former Apple executives described these moments as almost mystical. Jobs would emerge from meditation with a clarity that seemed to cut through the most complex problems. When designing the first iMac, the team was debating which color to use. After months of research, they submitted dozens of options. Jobs glanced at them and simply said, let's go with these 5 candy colors. That decision made the iMac a huge success. His designer later recalled, we spent weeks doing market analysis, but Jobs made the right decision in 5 seconds. But it wasn't really 5 seconds, was it? It was the culmination of years of training his intuition, of learning to trust his deepest instincts about what would resonate with human beings. The candy colors weren't just aesthetically pleasing, they were emotionally liberating. In a world of beige computer boxes, they represented joy, playfulness, and personal expression. Jobs had strict communication rules, which reflected Zen's principle of no reliance on words. Emails couldn't be longer than 3 sentences. Otherwise, pick up the phone. Reports had to be boiled down to 10 seconds, what he called an elevator pitch. Product presentations could only have 1 page with 3 main points. These weren't arbitrary restrictions. They were exercises in essence finding. When you can only use 3 sentences, every word must count. When you have only 1 page, every concept must be fundamental. This forced Apple's teams to think more clearly, to distill their ideas to their purest form. One time, a senior executive prepared a 30-page PowerPoint. Jobs stopped him after the 3rd slide and said, "If you can't explain it in 3 sentences, you haven't thought it through." The most famous example was when he told the team to forget about the usual design for a phone. When they were developing the iPhone, they had to rethink the phone from scratch, based on the most natural form of human interaction. That's how the revolutionary multi-touch screen was born. This process of forgetting what you know is central to Zen practice. It's called Don't Know Mind, approaching each problem as if you've never seen it before. For the iPhone team, this meant ignoring decades of phone design conventions and asking the most basic question: how do humans naturally want to interact with information? He even designed Apple's headquarters like a Zen center, with a huge meditation garden in the atrium. Tim Cook, the current CEO, said, "When you walk into Apple's campus, you can feel the focus and calm that Jobs left behind." These unconventional management practices weren't just quirky, they were based on Zen principles. Jobs blended Eastern wisdom with Western technology to create a unique management philosophy. The physical environment wasn't just about aesthetics. It was about creating a space that encouraged the kind of thinking Jobs valued. The meditation garden wasn't a luxury. It was a tool for innovation, a place where Apple employees could step away from the noise and reconnect with their creative instincts. The ripple effect. Jobs' legacy, still influencing today. Steve Jobs' legacy still lives on today, and many tech companies follow in his footsteps. After his death, his Zen-inspired thinking continued to influence the world. Google offers the Search Inside Yourself course to help employees use meditation to boost creativity. Facebook has meditation rooms for stressed-out programmers to reflect and recharge. Tesla's design philosophy is also rooted in simplicity and intuition, much like Apple's. Chinese tech leader Lei Jun even wore the same clothes as Jobs at one of his product launches. But the influence goes far beyond corporate meditation rooms. Jobs proved that Eastern wisdom and Western technology weren't just compatible, they were synergistic. His approach has influenced everything from user interface design to corporate culture to the very way we think about innovation. Consider how the principle of less is more has become standard in tech design. Every major tech company now talks about user experience and intuitive design. Before Jobs, these concepts were largely foreign to the technology industry. Engineers built features. Jobs built experiences. Even in the age of AI, when we're overwhelmed with new products and ideas, Jobs' philosophy remains incredibly valuable. Technology shouldn't make our lives busier. It should make them simpler. This insight becomes more relevant every day. As artificial intelligence creates exponentially more possibilities, the ability to focus, to say no to good ideas in service of great ones, becomes even more crucial. Jobs' 4-quadrant approach offers a template for navigating complexity in any field. Steve Jobs' life wasn't just a rise of a tech giant. It was a personal journey of self-discipline, blending Zen with technology to create something extraordinary. In his famous Stanford speech, he said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." This is essentially Zen's highest teaching. Return to the beginner's mind, with curiosity and the willingness to explore the world like a child. So, what can we do today? Practice minimalism in life, train your focus, and always trust your intuition. Like a child, like Jobs. Next time you use an Apple product, remember, it's not just a device. It's the result of a Zen practitioner's life work. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next episode.